Hi, friends. Hope you're having a lovely day today. Welcome back to another Red Photo podcast. I hope your week's going well. Hope you had a lovely Christmas. Hope that your friendships are growing, that your family is not alienated, and that you are creating lovely photos or whatever kind of art you create. Or if you're, I don't know, maybe you're a mechanic, maybe you're a tire specialist, and this podcast somehow brings you joy and escapism and some sort of education. So today I want to have a conversation about photos that are what I like to call, and I've mentioned this before, and it's a term I've made up, so if you don't know what it means, that's completely okay, because I'm the only one that has ever said this before. And one day when I stand on stage with the President of the United States, which is the end goal, let's be honest, I'll say that and then it'll catch on and become a common phrase by 2030. Coffee. By 2030, it'll be a common phrase. Photos that are anchorless are something that I think is prevalent in the photography community, very much so in the street photography community. And so what do I mean by anchorless? What I mean by anchorless is a photo that is a picture of everything and nothing at the same time. These exist very prominently in the realms of Tumblr and Instagram. Lots of street photographers who walk around and they're capturing the streets the way that you know their heart desires. But what ends up what's all over their feed is photos of like a street with 8 people that are really far away, and then a car, and then there's a trash bag on the side of the road, and hold on, sorry, a video just started. Hold on, hold on, I'm gonna.
Chloe's taking over the vlog.
I gotta turn the video off. Oh my gosh! Stop! Oh gosh! I can't turn it off. Why is it playing? Ah! Ah! Stop! Heavens! Oh, okay. Sorry. So I have a Chromecast, and the video got stuck a minute ago. I was watching a vlog, and it got stuck, and it was, I guess it was buffering. I thought it was the end of the vlog or something. I didn't know what was going on. So I kind of just hit a button and assumed it wouldn't play again. But it started playing 10 minutes later. So, but we're back on track. Sorry about that distraction. The world's not going to hold me down, you know? So, where was I at? So there are photos, yeah, trash bag, and it's just a picture of nothing, really. It's the trouble with this is you could look at this photo and go, if the photo taker could look at this, and the common folk could look at this photo and go, oh, it's pretty. It's got a thing. It was like it's urban. This urban exploration, and that's fine, right? There's nothing inherently wrong with this photo, right? There's nothing broken about this photo, but is it compelling? Is it emotionally compelling? And to what level do you want this photo? If you are a street photographer, what level do you want your photos to be emotionally compelling? Do you just want them to be pretty? Do you want them to be something that people will just scroll past and go, oh, that's cool, you know, like they're indifferent? What you don't want is for people to be indifferent to your art, I would assume. Maybe you are after that. Maybe you are after indifference, and that's fine. That's certainly a fun way to go, and I think that's an artistic viewpoint, sure. But I don't want people to be indifferent to my photography. I would like for people to be intrigued and emotionally compelled in some way or another. I'm not saying that it has to be, you know, photos of Syrian refugees and you know, the capturing this crisis and super, children laughing all the time. It doesn't have to be of the highest level of emotional movingness. That's not what I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to a photo that captures somebody and compels them in one way or another. And this is often described as good photography. Like if you think of if you think of a photographer that you have some particular interest in, a lot of times you may not be able to describe what it is immediately that you love about this photographer. You might just be able to say, it's just so good. It's just so good. Like, I keep coming back to it. It's so, I love it, right? You just say, I love it. A lot of times this I love it is built up of many different things that are going on, many different things that the photographer did that captures you. And so it makes me think of wedding photographers. There are a lot of those out there who you have let's see, okay, you have 3 types of wedding photographers. This should be fun. So the first wedding photographer is all right. Okay, so this is the lion's share of the wedding photographers in the world. They have a formula. They capture their photos just like every other wedding photographer. Oh, this is some low blows here. They capture their photos just like, they fall in line with all these other wedding photographers, but because they have the ability to market themselves well, they get good business. Then you have the crap wedding photographers. Then you have the people that the only reason they have any sort of business is because they're well connected, or their mom said, they had a friend that needed to get married the 3rd time, and so they're like, oh yeah, my son, my daughter can, so good, great photos, and so this person makes a Facebook page. This wedding photographer makes a Facebook page, and then they share their freaking horrible photos that look like they were captured with a Kodak Easy Share from the 90s, and you end up with crap. So there's that, and then there is the wedding photographer that sets themselves apart. Of course, in terms of work ethic, for one, you have to market yourself. But also in terms of the photos themselves, the emotionally compelling nature of the photos themselves. Maybe they make you laugh, maybe they make you cry, maybe they're just composed. The elements are created in a way that makes you feel something, right? And a lot of times these things are hard to describe. And it's just like it's just like if someone asks you, why do you love your wife or your husband or your dog? Why do you love them? And you're in your brain, you have a hard time kind of quantifying that. It may feel almost impossible to answer with any kind of specificity. You just, I love them. They're great. And the photography is very similar to that, I think. So anyway, back to the street photography and the anchorless photos and this and that. That was a big setup for what I'm trying to say here, which is there are the lion's share of street photography out there tends to be either feels a bit formulaic and undirectional, or it's just horrible, or in terms of it's just completely like, somebody who is just learning their camera and they're still figuring out and everything. The photo is just like, oh, okay, that was a sidewalk. Maybe you're going for something abstract there. There's that, or there's just this thing where a lot of photographers hang out where you can't figure out what the subject of the photo was. If you were like me and you analyze the photo, you could probably say, that was probably supposed to be a photo of that woman walking her dog. But there's so many other elements in the photo, and it was framed in such a way that it just doesn't translate, it doesn't communicate. And so I just want to talk about why this happens. Why do we have such a vast majority of this type of photography, and how do we fix that? How do we make it better? Like I said, this is not a monologue about good and bad. This is a conversation about how compelling, how emotionally compelling a piece of work is. And I think we would all agree as photographers that our goal is to create increasingly more emotionally compelling work, more focused and intentional work that gets a story across that we're trying to tell in the most bestest way possible. So the first thing that I think is the biggest piece that makes this most of this photography what it is. And this is the one thing that will trickle down through all the other things I'll talk about. And you'll see what I mean in a second. And that one thing is a lack of structure, a lack of planning, a lack of writing down a plan, a lack of thinking in the shower about what you're trying to accomplish with your photos, and a lack of guidelines for yourself. And creativity operates the best when it's inside a box. And so when you put constraints, so let's put it this way. If you want to, let's say you have this very fundamental idea of, I want to create candid street photography. So you go out. This is what happens when you go out without a plan. You go out, you just kind of take some photos of some people from some maybe a little bit far away, because as people, we're going to default to the easiest possible way to do something. So that's gonna keep us away from the challenges. And so you will probably default to taking photos of this person with interesting sunglasses from about a mile away with your long lens, and you're like, yeah, I got it. Oh, and then you take it home and you're like, I don't know if I want to post this. The other way is when you go into it with a plan and you say, all right, so I want to take candid photos, and I want them to be of businessmen, right? I want them to be of. So I saw a very interesting project that a street photographer was doing, and he did this maybe all in one day. I forget. He just went out and did this one day. I couldn't remember if it was a continual project, but it was very nice. It was very amazing what he did. The premise of his project and the focus was for him to take photos of businessmen, but only, I think, right below their mouth to the bottom of to their tie, right? So you have a shot of maybe the top of the chest to the bottom of the person's face, maybe right below the nose, or maybe he captures the nose, I forget. But very strict guidelines. And so he walked up to all these people, and all of his actions oriented around creating that end. And so what was the first thing he had to make sure he did? He had to walk up to the people, he had to say hello, and he had to engage with the person, say, here, this is what I'm doing. Can I take this photo? Blah, blah, blah. And then so he ended up with photos that fell into this mold that was very intentional, very well thought out. And he came back with a very cohesive body of work because of that. And that's the structure I'm talking about. That's the structure that helps you overcome anything that would stand in your way of creating this work. So the kind of the second piece that, like I said, falls into the first piece, falls up to the first piece. If it's like a drop-down menu on a website, sort of thing. UI nerd. Is our tendency to take the easy way. That's the thing that you want to avoid. That's the thing that plagues us as photographers. We're very zen and good vibes. So let's take an explorative, right? Adventurous and spontaneous. We tend to be. So this is a good thing, but you need structure to overcome some of the bad things that could come out of that, which is one being our tendency to take the easy way. Now, the second thing that falls up into that is fear. We are people who a lot of times, if you're like me, or you're an introvert, and walking up to somebody is a very weird process, a very emotionally strange process you have to overcome. There's a lot of fear there. There are challenges in any good photography, just like anything else in life. Any good photographic project that has any emotional legs to it contains a lot of fear. And structure is also a way to overcome that. When you're grabbing a hold of the structure to your left here instead of the fear to your right, the structure is you're gonna fight for that structure, and because of that, you're going to push through that fear. You're going to short circuit that fear. Maybe short circuit's not the word, but let's say overcome. Right? You're going to fight through that fear because you know what you're trying to pull off. The other thing that having structure will help you overcome is an undefined goal. And I create structure. I try my best to create structure for myself that really works and gets me where I need to be every day. And I still sometimes feel like I have an undefined goal. What am I trying to do? And attack each of these things that I'm speaking to through the lens of creating structure for yourself, so that if it's fear, okay, I need this sort of structure. If it's your tendency to take the easy way through a thing, and you see that that's not working out for you, your photos continue to suck balls because you keep doing. I'm sorry, your photos continue to not have the emotionally compelling nature that you would require of yourself. And if you have an undefined goal, that structure, putting intentionality towards creating a structure to help you define that goal, so that you have clarity in your head when you're shooting, when you're editing, throughout the whole process. Structure is something that we overlook, and I think that most photographers don't go very far with their creativity, and they don't really pursue maybe what they're passionate about to the level that they had hoped in that moment of inspiration they had on that one eve of August. That will fall off without structure. So yeah, I think that structure has been such a huge thing for me. It's been something that I've learned how to sort of turn to and go, hey, this help. I don't know what's going on. I'm scared. My photos look like crap. I don't know what I'm trying to do. Help me. And so go have a consultation with structure. Go have a therapy session with structure. And I think that some good things will come out of that. So that was my talk about structure today. I definitely know I'm going to come at this from endless viewpoints in the future on this podcast and my videos everywhere. I do things because I love this concept. I think it's so powerful for us as artists. And I think it's the thing that is one of the huge things that we tend to lack. And it separates the very successful photographers, whatever success was defined for them and for us as we're looking at them. It separates them from the people who don't succeed and don't make it where they're trying to go. With that said, that's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out with my mouth and letting it caress your ear hole. I hope you have a lovely day. And if you would like to find me on the interwebs, I am at James the Red on Twitter, Instagram, and Red Photo on YouTube. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.